a special treat.
Nobody working today?
Not yet. Only I'm going to be working right now, all right? And you. So.
Nobody working.
No.
I'm right at home. I'm right with you there.
Okay.
I got up all ago, got looking, and there was some kind of big red ball back in the, coming up over the ocean. I said, what is that? I mean, I don't know if it's been down here, but the last 4 weeks at home, we ain't even seen the sun. North Carolina, it's been raining every quite a good day.
Well, this is Florida. It rains
So it
10
goes
minutes,
to 10, okay.
and then, yeah, so you can
Now,
almost
see,
time it.
the sun's still hiding in North Carolina.
Exactly. Well, first of all, we welcome you, and we greatly appreciate your time. Please help yourselves to any nourishment that you need while we talk. What we're looking for today, Mr. Petty, is, well, first of all, I might have some disappointing news. We don't have a lot of questions in regard to car engines and body styles and things like that, which I know you love to talk about. Basically, we want to take a little bit of time. This is a sales organization. We wanted to kind of get more insight into your psychology of being a winner. So hopefully you don't mind talking about that a little bit.
They don't need to sell me, they need to get somebody else here. Y'all need some customers. You already got one here.
Well, since you're already an owner, you're a prime target for us. But basically, you know, what I do want to do first is just kind of go over some of your accomplishments that you did achieve to show your record of winning. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Mr. Petty actually he holds the record for the most wins in the NASCAR, which is 200. He won the Daytona 500 right here in our hometown 7 times. It had the most wins in one season, which was 27, which was at the time where you earned the name King Richard, correct?
1967.
And it stuck for a while, didn't it? So now
It's better than being called a lot of other things.
Had a record 13 Winston Cup wins in one season. In 1975, was the Grand National Series Rookie of the Year, Motorsports Hall of Fame of America inductee, International Motorsports Hall of Fame, NASCAR Hall of Fame, and in 1992 got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which
all that means is I've been here a long time.
yes. What it also means is statistically, the gentleman I'm sitting across from right now is the greatest driver that the sport has ever seen. Okay, so with that being said, I do want to talk about probably your most crowning achievement, your most impressive achievement that I would say you've ever had is that in 1958, at the age of 21, Mr. Petty married his sweetheart, Linda Petty, and they have been married 55 years. All right?
That was quite an accomplishment for
That
her.
was. So the first question, Mr. Petty, very simply is, how do you stay married to one woman for 55 years?
It ain't easy. And I tell you, I think she was 18 when we got married, and I was 21. First thing we did was start having kids, so we had 4 kids. But the deal when I married her, I was still very, very young too, at 21. And so it was easy for us to mold together, I guess. None of us had been out in the real world, knew what was going on, so we sort of learned together. But and we'd done a lot of races back then where I'd go off and be gone, 4 or 5 days to a race, or be gone a week or 2 sometimes. So we always looked at it from the standpoint that we didn't live together for 55 years, okay? We lived together maybe 25 years. But the big deal was that...
Let me write this down.
The big deal was you'd be home for 3 or 4 days, and you couldn't wait to leave, and she couldn't wait to get you out of it. Then you'd be gone for 4 or 5 days. You couldn't wait to get back home, and she couldn't wait for you to get back home. So it was kind of a combination that...
absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Made it work, Made it work.
Well, that's terrific. And kind of on that same thought, there's the saying, behind every great man there's a great woman. So how much of a factor would you say your relationship with your wife all those years was to your success as a race car driver?
Well, the big deal was that she looked after everything at home. And I looked after everything away from home. And, we'd be gone for a while, and she would take care of the kids. She took care of all the bills. If you want any money, you take it home and give it to her, and she take it to the bank. So she did her half, and I did the half of going out and getting the money. So it was a good partnership from the standpoint that each one of us had a job to do, and then we joined together and had a family.
So in other words, you put your mind at ease while you were out.
Well, yeah, I could spend all my time working on a race car, driving a race car, and not worrying about her and the kids and bills being paid. And then she spent her time taking care of those things, not worrying about what I was doing with the race car.
Okay. Well, I kind of want to stay in the theme of family, if it's okay with you for a moment, because I looked at some of your interviews, and you mentioned in the past when people have asked you who was your hero, you normally always say your father, Lee Petty, who was also a 3-time NASCAR champion. So I'm assuming that still holds true.
Yeah, that was it, because you got to figure we grew up in a different society than what's going on today. I grew up in the 40s and the 50s. We lived out in the country, lived on a dirt road, didn't have electricity, running water, lived in a 3-room shack, I guess is what it was. But, and until my father started taking us to the races, early in 1949, 1950, really, when we started traveling a whole lot, you didn't know people had these things. We at home, we didn't have radio, TV, didn't newspaper, none of that kind of stuff. You was just there. And once we got out and got to see the real world, hey man, they got, you know, roads are not dirt. You know, they got telephones, they got lights. You know, I remember the first time I ever seen a TV. I was in Pennsylvania in 1954. And we went to these people's house, and some of Daddy's buddies were racing. And went in and they had a TV about this big, had a screen on it about that big, and had Lone Ranger running across it or something. Man, it just blew my mind.
That was big technology for you.
Yeah, I never even heard tell of it from where we was at in North Carolina. And so the racing exposed our family to the real world. But, you know, my father was doing that thing then. At that time, we had a race car, and he drove it to the races. A lot of times, we drove it back and forth to California a couple times. But he was the car owner. He was the crew chief. He was the driver. I mean, he was the whole thing. He'd go to a race. We'd go to New Jersey or somewhere to run a race, and he'd stop at a service station, you know, fill the thing up with gas, get everything all set up, and be some guys hanging around there service station. He'd get them and take them to the racetrack, and that was his pit crew. I mean, but that's the way everybody operated. You know, now you got these great big trucks and trailers, and when you see one of them trucks at the racetrack, when they got a couple of race cars, and that represents about $1 million. And it's just unreal. We was in California last week. And these guys were working on a transmission. Got all this trick stuff and all for the road course and stuff. It cost more than our race cars used to cost, just the transmission.
Yeah.
It's all at shame. But anyhow, my dad done all that kind of stuff, so, and he was winning races and championships, so why shouldn't he be my guide in life? You know, I've always told him that probably if he'd have been a farmer, I'd probably been a farmer. But he happens to be in the racing deal, so I just followed suit.
Well, with that thought of him being a guiding light, and obviously you were a guiding light for your children, our question is how much do you feel that being responsible with your life outside of racing, okay, your personal life with your wife and children, friends, affects a driver's life inside of racing in their career?
Well, you know, I think people's personality goes with them no matter where they go, no matter what they do, no matter what their job is. And their upbringing and their social things are them. That's their character stuff. So whether I'm meeting with you all, or whether at the racetrack, or whether you're somewhere else, you know, I guess what you see is what you get. What you are really comes through. So when you see, for instance, because we do everything around racing, when you see a driver when he jumps out and starts cussing people or hitting on people and stuff, that's his same attitude when he's in a race car. And so then you see other people that they get out, no matter what the circumstances, they kind of roll with the punches and stuff. That's the way they are in the race car. So you know those people. And so from my standpoint, I try to always set a good example for my family, for my kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids. Okay, trying to set an example for them so that same persona went with me no matter where I go. Whether I talk to you all or I go to the racetrack or whatever, then again, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, yeah.
It could be good, bad, or indifferent. You know?
And a lot of things I read, you're always
And the deal
noting.
is, everybody, no matter what, when you get through, when this is all over, you interview these people, every one of these people will see me in a little bit different light. Some will like something, some of them might not like it, some of them say, well, it's okay. You know, but everybody will see me in a different situation and what we said and what we're talking about.
Well, you've done a lot of interviews, and you don't leave a lot to not like. And one of the things is your passion for what you did, because in a number of interviews you've expressed many times your sincere love of cars, and even called driving not so much your career, but more so your hobby.
That was my hobby.
That was your hobby. So that's very fortunate that you were able to pursue a
Yeah,
career where it was a
very
hobby.
few people can make a living out of their hobby.
Yeah.
I work, 6 days a week doing whatever so that I can get the race car on Sunday and where a lot of people do that and they go golfing or they go fishing or hunting. I got in the race car and that was my hobby.